you found me. Damn, your love is outstanding.
I've been taking forever to make a video, so I decided to come over here by the marina, and I kept trying to think about what it was going to be about, and look, my hair looks crazy. But it, there's so many topics. I think it's the same thing with my book, like trying to struggle to figure out like what the message is. But there can be a lot of messages compiled in one big message, a lot of short messages equating to one big message, or just a bunch of little messages and something that someone can use or someone can learn from. But going through my topics book that I had from a while ago, I was going through and I was reading all the topics I had, and a few of the topics that stuck out to me, which is what I was thinking about last week, was grief. Like, grief is not, I think when you're growing up, you think of grief as when someone dies, you lose a loved one, but grief is not just the loss of a person. It is the loss of things that you used to do, old ways that were good ways, I guess, relationships, a lot of different things. And I think for me, I have had the biggest struggle in the last few years, 3 to 4 years, grieving the old, not the old me, like I'm not the same person, but the old things and processes that I used to have in my life. Like, for example, when I was making videos in my grandma's room, even I would go in there and shoot like 5 at a time. It made me happy. And it did something positive for me. When I was hosting events, and event after event, even though I was like had so much on my plate, I had there was a sense of happiness from it. So, and that was because encouraging others really encouraged myself. So I have a passion for it, and it really encouraged me. Like, it did something for my soul, and it did something for theirs as well. And so, I mean, like, that's a win-win. But I think that there's this big part of me that has had so much on my plate since the arrest, since my grandma passed, since these other responsibilities and so many different things, and just kind of losing sight of certain things. And I feel like I've just been in a phase where I have been grieving the things I used to do. Not that I can't do them again or I won't do them again, and not that I'm unhappy, because I'm not, but I'm just saying that there was a lot of things that I'm grieving, in the sense of things I used to do that gave me that happy place. And I think that I need to, when you're in that place, you have to refocus and reshift, because, you kind of dwelling on the past, and clearly that's not healthy, but it is healthy to grieve the loss of something that made you happy. And maybe if you, I don't know if that sounds right, but if you grieve it, you can kind of get back to it, but you'll never probably get back to exactly what it was, because it probably wasn't meant for you to do that in that capacity forever. It might be something bigger, it may just be something modified, whatever the case may be. But I have been focused on grieving, like really stressed by the loss of things that I lost, the ways that I was, the things that I was doing, the positive encouragement I gave myself as well as others. And it's like grief. I don't know how to, just other way to describe it. And that grief, though, can get you stuck, man. And I think the hardest part is you don't realize what it is. You're like, why is this happening? Why am I having anxiety with certain things? And I just really have come to the conclusion, like it's been speaking to me, that it's grief. I'm just grieving those things, the way my life was at that time. Again, I'm not saying I'm unhappy now. It's just that those were some things that fed me spiritually. They fed me they really internally fed me and my soul, and I really miss those things. So instead of grieving them, recognize that I'm grieving it, but instead of grieving it, finding a way to get back even better, no matter how that looks. It could be a small step, a big step, a huge step. But it's just got to get out of that. You can't live in a place of grief. You won't grow. You won't end up being happy, and you're really taken away from yourself, and which is kind of pretty much what I feel like I've been doing. So maybe somebody out there, you may feel like this way too. So again, grief is not just grieving somebody that you lost. It is a person. It is a thing. It's a way of life. It's so many. It encompasses so much. That word grief is not. It just encompasses so much. It's not just death. It's death of different things. So if you're grieving something, or maybe you might realize you're grieving something, you just got to try to change it, because you can't live in that place. And you're not to say you'll get out of that place by just recognizing it. You got to take steps to get out of it. And one thing I'm doing is trying my damnedest to get my body together and start walking. Now the eating, that's slowly coming together, but that place, nothing lives in that place. So if you're in a place of grief over a thing or a way of life or something that needs to make you happy, and you got to find what you can do, baby stepping in until you get to where you can smile and you feeding yourself. But you just can't live in that place. You can't live in a place like that. It's just not possible to live in that place and grow at the same time.